everybody, welcome back, and today we're going to do an intro to some of the circles. It should be a review from Math 8 and pre-algebra before we dive into Unit 10, okay? So first of all, just to review some things, a circle is a set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from a point, which is called the center of the circle. So if this point right here is my center, then all of these points right here, when you rotate around that center, are the same distance, and that same distance would be the radius, okay? We measure a circle by degrees, so the degree of rotation around the circle. The radius is the segment connecting the center to a point on the circle, and that's also the distance from the center to the circle, okay? A chord, so this blue one right here, a chord is a segment, so it's a line segment connecting any 2 points on the circle. So that's the definition of a chord. So a diameter is actually also a chord because it connects 2 points on the circle. It's a special chord because it goes through the center. Okay, so a diameter is a chord passing through the center of the circle. A secant is a line. So notice the difference between a chord and a secant. So here's my chord. It has endpoints that are on the circle. It's not a line. A secant is an actual line that passes through the circle in 2 places, right? Intersects the circle twice. Where a tangent is also a line, but it only intersects a circle once, right there. Boom. Okay, a secant intersects it twice. A chord is just a segment and not a line. Okay, so those are kind of all my definitions. And then, of course, we have an arc. And an arc is actually a part of the circle that has endpoints on the circle. It doesn't go all the way around. Okay, so those are just some review vocabulary you might want to put down as we move forward through all these units in Unit 10. Okay, here's a couple more. You might remember these formulas from way back, but this is circumference as a distance around. So if I'm going to walk around a circle, that's my circumference, and it has to involve my diameter. So my definition of my circumference is 2 times pi. So my circumference divided by diameter is a special number called pi. Okay, so my formula for circumference is always going to be pi times diameter, because circumference divided by pi is diameter. So if I multiply by diameter, that's how I get my formula. Or since diameter is 2 radius, 2 times the radius, circumferences could also be equal to 2 pi r. So you could use either one of those just depending on the information you're given, okay? So this is a really common one, 2 pi r. The pi times diameter is also the same thing. Okay, so the area of a circle is how many squares it takes to cover the circle. So that's this area in this space in the circle. And that formula for my area of my circle is pi r squared. So remember that formula is pi r squared. And the way you can remember that is remember that area is always like in units squared. Whenever you find it, it's like square feet, square inches. And so that's how I remember that that's my area formula. And then circumference is just in regular length, so it doesn't have any square units in it. Okay, so remember those a couple of formulas. So now we're just going to apply a couple of these. So find the circumference and area of the circle. Okay, so we want to have the circumference and we want to have the area of the circle. So first of all, we'll find our circumference. So circumference is equal to, and since we have a radius, we're going to go ahead and use 2 times pi times r. And I don't know where this little weird line came from. Okay, so 2 times pi times r. So if I write out my equation, and this is how I want to see your work, you write down your formula, then you plug in everything you know. So circumference equals 2 times pi times my 21 feet. Okay, then I'm just going to simplify. 2 times 21 is 42 pi feet. Now here's what's important, is this right here is an exact answer because it is exactly 42 feet, 42 pi feet, sorry. Now, once we actually calculate what 42 pi is, so we're going to put in here 42 times, and you multiply by pi. I got to find my pi. Here it is right here. Second function pi is going to be 131.9. We're usually going to round to the nearest tenth. So it'd be 131.9. And so when I start rounding, circumference equals 131.9. I'm going to put the approximately right here because that's an approximation. So while this one up here before we multiply pi and have to round, that's an exact answer. This is an approximation. Okay. And so make sure you understand the difference between those. If you're asked to find the exact answer for something, you're going to leave it what's called in terms of pi. Okay. So you'll watch out for that. If it ever says, give me the answer in terms of pi, that means that you're going to leave pi in the answer, okay, in terms of pi. And so that's the difference between those two. This is an exact answer. I leave it in terms of pi. Once I multiply it out, I'm going to get some crazy decimals. And so I'm going to have to round, and that's why it's an approximation. Okay? Now to find the area, we're going to just go ahead and take my area equals pi r squared. And I'm going to substitute in my r. So pi times 21 feet squared, which is going to be, let's see if I find out what 21 squared is. 21 squared is equal to 441. So this is going to be 441 pi feet squared, or square feet. What do you want to say that? Okay, so this is my area. And up here is my circumference, my approximation for circumference, and my exact answer. Okay. Okay. Find the circumference and area of this circle. So you guys might want to go ahead and pause and try this on your own and then see how you do. So if I want to find my circumference, again, I'm going to go circumference equals, and you'll notice this time I have a diameter. So I'm going to use my pi times diameter. So that equals pi times 12 meters. So I'm going to give my exact answer of 12 pi meters is my circumference. If I'm going to approximate that, if it asks you to give you in terms of pi, I just go 12 times pi. And that would give me my 37.7 approximately, as I round. So approximately 37.7 meters. Okay, so those are my two differences. You're not going to always have to give them both every time, so just you have to watch and ask what they ask for. Okay, how about my area? My area is going to be pi r squared. So that's going to be pi times 12. Nope, that's my radius. What's my radius here? It's 6. I almost fell for it, didn't I? So watch for that, if it's going to be a diameter or radius. So my radius is 6. So this would be 6 meters squared. So that will be 36 pi meters squared. That's my area. Okay? All right, let's go on to the next one. We have find the radius of the circle with the circumference. So now this time it gives us a circumference, and we want to find what the radius is. So every time, just write out your formula. So 2 pi r is my radius formula. This time I'm given my circumference, okay, is 26 meters equals 2 pi r. And so now to solve for this, I just need to divide by 2 pi to eliminate, to get isolate that r by itself. So now 26 divided by 2 is 13, but the over pi meters is my radius. So that's my exact answer, okay? If I want to find an approximation, so I actually want to find some sort of, measurement we can work with here. Because if I can't measure out 13 divided by pi, right? If I want to actually measure something, I want to take 13 divided by pi. And we will get about 4.1. So my radius is approximately equal to 4.1 meters. Okay, and that's how you find that. So just write out your formula, plug in what you know, and then solve for the information you don't know. So now what's the diameter of a circle with an area of 113.10? So this time we have our area. Area is pi r squared. Okay, we have an area of 113. Oh, not 1,000. 113.1 yards squared equals pi r squared. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to get that r squared all by itself. Okay, so we're going to divide by pi. So now this time we're going to have to divide by pi in order to take the square root. So we're going to go 113.1 divided by my pi. So that's going to give me almost exactly 36. So that's awesome. 36 yards squared. I should have had a d up here. Sorry about that. Equals my radius squared. And now to undo a square, we take the square root. Now, when you get into algebra 2, the solution for the square root of r is actually going to be 6 and negative 6. Because negative 6 squared is 36, and the positive 36 squared is 36. However, in geometry, we don't deal with negative length, right? Length can't be negative, so that's why we only consider, the only solution is a positive 6 yards here. Okay, so just put that in the back of your mind for next year on Algebra 2 goers. Okay, Find the diameter of a circle with this area, 254. So same sort of thing. So area equals pi r squared. We're going to plug in 254.47 equals pi r squared. We're going to divide by pi on both sides and see what we get here. 254.47 divided by pi. That's going to give us 81. It's a nice number to have because it's a nice perfect square number. And if we take the square root of both sides, we get 9 equals my radius. That should be 9 meters. I should have put my meters on there. Okay? Okay, find the area of the circle with the circumference. So now we have a circumference. We need to find, in order to find the area, right, we have pi r squared. In order to find the area, we need a radius. They give us a circumference. And so we know that a circumference equals 2 pi r. So if we know a circumference, we can find the radius. If we know the radius, we can find the area. Okay, so it's kind of roundabout. So we're going to plug in our circumference here. So 32 pi equals 2 pi r. And we're going to divide by 2 pi. Okay, pi's cancel out. We're left with 16 equals my radius. Okay, so that's my radius. So now I can take that and plug it up in here into my area. And I can use this area equals pi and then times 16 squared. Okay, well, what's 16 squared? Let's find out. That's 16 and squared. That's going to give us 256. So we have area equals 256 pi. Is it feet? I think it's feet. Pi feet squared. Okay. And then I usually leave my area in terms of pi unless it asks for an approximation. Okay. Last one here, you guys want to try to do this one. Find the circumference given the area. So we're kind of going the other way around. Okay. Come back and see how you do. So if my area equals pi r squared, I know my area is 321 square feet equals pi r squared. I'm going to divide by pi. Okay, so I'm going to get my 321. I'm going to try something here. I'm going to see if I can actually use my fingers on this thing. At 321, look at that. Divided by pi. And that's going to be 101.2 or 102.1, sorry. So 102.1 feet squared is approximately equal to r squared. So we're going to square root both sides now. And so we're going to take the square root of my answer here. And that gives us about 10.1. So 10.1 is about equal to my radius approximation. Okay. Now that we have that radius, we can find our circumference. So circumference is equal to 2 pi r times 10.1. So circumference is equal to 20.2 times pi. That's my exact answer. And if they want an approximation, you could multiply your pi out. Okay? All right, one more. Write an area of a circle with the circumference of 432. Okay, so similar thing. My circumference equals 2 pi r. I know my circumference is 432 feet equals 2 pi r. I'm going to divide by that 2 pi. Okay, so let's find out what that is. We have 432 divided by, and I need to put in parentheses 2 pi because that's what I'm dividing by that whole. Oh, I put multiply instead of divide. There we go. Divide by that 2 pi. And that's going to be 68.8. So you say 68.8 is equal to my radius, approximately. Okay. Now I can find my area is pi r squared. So area is pi times 68.8 squared. So my area is going to be approximately 68.8 squared, and that is about 4733.4. And it should be square feet there. Okay, and there you go. Okay. All right. So you guys have a worksheet on a review of circles. It's going to be all on circumference and area. be sure to write out all of your work. I want to see formulas written out, things substituted in, and then simplified. Okay, and I will see you all in class. Take care. Bye-bye.